Ahoy ahoy crew, 17.2 is near. In fact, it will be here on January 1st. So, we are going to go over everything before it is released, that way we all understand what is coming and what to prepare for. Now, the main part of this content that most people will already know about is the automatic gear. These are upgraded versions of the current illusion gear. When I say illusion gear for the rest of this video, I mean these and not these. Besides the obvious comparison between these two gears, the automatic enchantments are super strong and should enable a lot of different builds to become at least more viable than they were before. Something to note, these automatic gears have the same types of combos as the illusion ones have. The only difference is that some of the new effects are slightly stronger. The automatic enchantments are also stronger versions of the illusion ones and even have some extra added effects. Along with that, there are new enchantments on the armor slot that increase your skill damage. These will be the sought after enchants that everyone will want to get their hands on because they are very powerful. Also similar to the illusion enchantments, they have different rarities, those being normal, rare, unique, legendary, and epic. Normal are mostly stat bonuses with some small extra effects. You can put up to 3 of these on a single piece of gear. The stat enchants are for accessories only, and the defense and magic defense ones can only go onto anything except the accessories. Rare are the common, non-stat modules. These are all upgraded versions of their illusion counterparts. You can have up to 2 of these on each piece of gear they attach to, except for these 4, which you can only have 1 of on each accessory. Unique are the modules that you can only have 1 of on each gear they attach to. These have a lot of unique effects, and some of them are basically upgraded versions of the rare enchants. Some of the very strong enchants from here to watch out for are All Force, which gives 5% all property magic, 5% ranged, and 5% melee damage that attach to the accessories. The Delay After Skill module, which gives up to 16% after cast delay reduction, and the Powerful module that gives 10% melee, 10% ranged, and 10% all property magic damage on the engine wing. Legendary are the upgraded versions of the footgear enchants, which means that you can only have 1 of them. There is some small differences between them though. The illusion version activates at a 5% chance and has some drawbacks, like reduced magic attack percent or reduced attack percent, while the automatic versions only activate at a 3% chance, do not have any drawbacks, and actually give even more bonuses. The final module type, Epic, is where all the skill damage enchants are. There are 3 enchants for each class. Each enchant boosts 2 different skills. For example, the Cutter Slasher module increases the damage of the Rolling Cutter and Cross Ripper Slasher skills. All of the modules give a similar percent bonus. At +0, it gives both skills plus 15% damage. At +9 or higher, it gives both skills plus 3% damage, and at +11 or higher, it gives both skills plus 7% damage. Each skill module gives a total of 25% skill damage for both skills, and you can apply up to 2 of the same skill module onto your automatic armor. One module to keep in mind is Shadow Spell, as instead of skill damage, it increases all property magic damage by 25%. This can be used for any magic class, not just Shadow Chasers, even if that's what it was designed for. Now that we have gone over all of the automatic gears and enchantments, how do we obtain them? Note that this part is based on information we have from KRO and through monster info in-game. To obtain the automatic gears, we need to trade a +9 illusion gear and some amount of Varmeel tickets. This will give us a +0 automatic gear based on the type of illusion gear we turned in. Note, this will destroy your illusion gear, and all the enchantments and cards will be lost with it. The reason I say some amount of Varmil tickets is because while we can see the KRO number on Divine Pride, this could very much be customized when it gets implemented on Nova RO. So we won't know the actual amounts until release day. The accessories are the only part that does not need to be refined, because they can't be refined, and you just need Varmil tickets to transform them. Our next question is, how do we obtain Varmil tickets? Varmil tickets are obtained by doing the daily 17.2 quests, as well as the first time you complete the main storyline quest on each character. Of course, the actual numbers for how many tickets we will receive is unknown, because they will probably change the amounts to balance it for our server. Another customization that could happen is they might make some monsters drop Varmil tickets, similar to how Core and Unknown Parts drop for 17.1. But so far, nothing in the monster info drops Varmil tickets. The enchantments, on the other hand, are obtained differently based on the module. Epic modules seem to be obtained from RNG boxes that drop at a 0.5% chance from Lambda and Grand Papilla. Both of these are MVPs from 17.2 hard mode instances. The other modules also seem to drop from an RNG box, but this drops at a 5% chance from Lambda, Grand Papilla, Silva Papilla, and Kappa, which are MVPs from both the normal and hard 17.2 instances. There could be other ways to obtain the modules that we don't know yet, but so far from what we can see in the monster info, they are very limited and rare. Considering that epic module boxes are a 0.5% drop rate, and there are 51 possible modules you could get, I would assume they will have an alternate method to obtain them. Otherwise, it would be like dropping a Vicious Mind Aura from Edda Biolabs, then also having to roll again with a 2% rate in order to get the one you want. There are soapstone you get for doing the high-end daily quests on KRO, and 300 can be traded in for your choice of one epic module. If this gets implemented on Nova RO as well, it would fix the incredibly low drop rate problem. The last thing about the armors is the reinforcement cubes. There is Illusion Reinforcement Cube and Automatic Reinforcement Cube. What these do is they'll upgrade your +4 automatic armor or +4 illusion gear straight to +7 with no chance to fail. Kinda like a limited refine ticket, since it only applies to these gears. On KRO, the illusion cube costs 10 million Zenny, and the automatic cube costs 30 million Zenny. We are done with the armors. Let's move on to the new weapon cycle, known as the Sin weapons. These are another set of weapons that increase specific skills damage, similar to the Edda Biolab ones. As I only have surface knowledge of most classes' builds, I can't really tell you what Sin weapons are good and what are trash. The most I can say is the new Katar, Avaricia Metal, is good for early game roll and cutter before you're able to buy a Bolt Crusher or +9 Ripper Cross. All of the weapons seem to be dropped by monsters from the 17.2 dungeons at either a 5% chance or a 10% chance. The last thing we will cover in 17.2 is the mass amount of new cards. There are a total of 50 brand new cards in this episode. First, we will cover the new powerful accessory cards, which honestly take up most of that 50. These all give a similar bonus, +2 to one stat, +1 to a second stat, +10% max HP, and +10% skill damage for 2 different skills. First thoughts on these are 10% HP in an accessory card seems really nice. And on top of that, the 2 skill damage bonuses will be for the same class. So the Sewage Cramp card, for instance, gives a 10% bonus to the Roll and Cutter and Counter Slash skills. There is one of these cards for each class, including expanded classes. But illegal, what about Super Novice? Ha 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 ha. Good one. These cards also have a 3-card combo, which gives you even more skill damage. The new Footgear card are also a part of these combos. They give +2 to a single stat, plus 10% max HP, plus 10% max SP, and plus 25 to 50% damage for one of your class's irrelevant skills, like Envenom. There is also a cycle of weapon cards that give melee, ranged, or magical damage depending on if you have a certain type of weapon equipped, like the Greater Special Alnadi card. There is also a continuation of an existing card cycle for magical damage on garments. Those cards are Yellow Patea card, which increases your holy property magic damage based on your garment's refine, and Purple Patea card, which increases your neutral property damage. So, now that we have all that information out there, those that were unsure or lost before on what is coming in the new content have at least a better understanding. The last question, what do we prepare? Well, since the automatic gears need +11 to get the full effects, Blacksmith's Blessings are going to be consumed at a high rate, meaning their value will increase after this update for at least a little bit. So, buy your BSB now if you plan to make +11 gear right out of the gates. Or, if you have a large stock of BSB and want to make easy Zenny, get ready to sell them after the patch drops. For newer or non-rich players, I recommend selling everything you possibly can in the first 3 days to 1 week of the new content, assuming you're not getting ripped off. The first 3 days to 1 week is when everything new is super expensive and is another way to make easy Zenny. Also, don't sell your current gear thinking you'll replace it with a +11 automatic gear with full enchants on day 1. Unless you're rich, it's a bad idea, because you'll be left with probably not a +11 armor, or if you do get that, you won't have the full enchants. That's all I've got on 17.2. If you want to see more guides, especially build videos with the release of 17.2, subscribe to the channel, share this video with friends, and I'll see you in 17.2.